And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. I hope you're having yourselves a wonderful morning this morning. Hopefully you have had a nice kind of get up, stretch, relax, wake up on the right side of the bed. I always tell people, if you feel like you're on the wrong side of the bed, roll over, go the other way, or just lay back down, take another deep breath, and get up again, because you never want to get out on the wrong side of the bed. So make sure if you're listening and you're watching right now and you're like, Dan, I didn't get it right. Well, then find a way to do it. If you're at work, simulate it, right? Lay on the floor, pop back up. And if your boss is terrible, lay on the floor, then army crawl out the building. That's all you have to do. So happy to be here with you. Thanks for being a part of the show. Thank you for your patience as we got set and ready to go today. We're inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. They are open for sales and service Monday through Saturday and all the time online at greatlakeshondacity.com. We're up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.mixlr.com. We've been doing this internet radio and TV thing before it was cool. I left traditional media so that we could start something special here, and seeing how the world has vastly changed over the last decade plus has been interesting, but I'm happy that I had the opportunity to be here. I got to give credit to my former producer, Niccolo Cicero, who said, why don't you jump on the internet and give it a try? And I want to give big time credit to God as well. So, above all. With that being said, today's show inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. My guy Jason Lucas is going to be joining me. He is a sports and entertainment vet. More than anything else, he is a brother. And we're going to have a conversation about collegiate athletics. But before we go there, we're going to have a conversation about something that I find to be so vastly important to speak about. I don't know if any other broadcaster has ever done something like this on a sports show, but I find it incredibly important to speak about parenting and autism, as his daughter and my beautiful, wonderful niece, Carly, has had such a journey and such an awesome life to get to where she is today. I'm extremely proud of her. I probably love more than anything else that she knows who Darkwing Duck is, and that's Jason's fault. So we will talk about that, and we'll talk about my other niece, Gracie, and the life of him being a dad and just raising someone through autism and navigating that road, so that people know you truly are not alone, and there is beauty in all of the adversity. And I will tell you that, folks, because I see how good of a father he is, and I see how well these girls have grown up. In hour number 2, Neel Bhattacharjee is going to be joining me for a Bearcat Breakroom in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University. And Neel not only just went to the World Cup, he went to the one in Boston between Paraguay and Germany that ended on penalty kicks, where Paraguay defeated the juggernaut Germany to move on to the round of 16. So he didn't just go to the World Cup, he went to an instant classic. He'll be on the show to talk about that less than 24 hours from that game. And then we'll do the ingredients to success, proudly presented by the wonderful team at Avicolli's. And the ingredients to success for today is going to focus on having what I simply call a cheerful heart. So with that being said, without further ado, my guy Jay-Bird is picture in picture with me from down in the great state of Florida, the second hub of Dan Tortora broadcast media, and a place that I miss where the palm trees are so beautiful. Jason, how are you?
Well, Dan, it's only 47,000 degrees here this morning, so figured I would just, jump on the show and try to cool down a little bit and try to suck in some of that nice Syracuse air through the phone.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this. We're not giving you much right now. Our humidity is insane, and today, it's supposed to be, today's going to be 91, then 92, then 95, then 90, before it goes back down to the 80s. I am a proponent that Syracuse should never go above like 87. That is my belief.
Yeah, well,
That's what I stand for. And New Jersey's going to be 102 this Thursday. So, for those of you that don't believe in global warming, I guess don't go outside. But it's real. And I'm happy to have you here today. Jay, you and I mean, obviously off the air, we've talked about some things, and the last time I saw you, I got to see the girls and got to go swimming and have some fun and see how big they've gotten, which is probably the most insane thing to me, is the fact that they're growing up so big and just talking and having these conversations and everything is it kind of throws you that these are little women now. They're not just like little girls. And I know that you post a lot of things on your stories about being a parent who has a child with autism and being a father in general, and the things that you go through that nobody knows, that I hope my daughters know this someday. So I'd love to kind of just open the floor to you on what it's like to be a parent of two girls, to be doing it co-parent wise, but when they're with you, I mean, you're doing it solo in your own way, and to have a child that has autism.
Yeah, what's it like? Crazy, exhausting, and but you wouldn't want to be anywhere else. You just keep pushing yourself through to, to the next day because it's all for them, right? So yeah, it's definitely a lot, and just love my girls and would do anything for them. And I think I'm already showing why I never talk about this.
Well, and the thing is, you put up, like I said, you put up those messages where it's not you talking, but it's the something you find on the internet that kind of speaks to you and allows you to talk through it. If you were to sit down right now and Carly is sitting across from you, and you've seen this entire journey to today. I know that you speak through the words of others, but if you were to speak through your own words to Carly of the day she was born to the young woman that she's growing up to be, what would you say?
Yeah, it's something I actually get to do a little bit of now because she's starting to understand things, and it's funny because she'll come up and be like, "Oh, I remember that,"
Yeah.
and you don't realize that she was getting everything during that time. So, but I would just tell her it's been a long road, and I've told her this before. Like, I'm very proud of you. You've come so far. Her grades this year were awesome for the first time. Um, she only got suspended from school like twice this year, which is like a record. Um, Usually it's like every other week or something, and it's just aggression has always gotten the best of her, and she's just much more docile now and not so aggressive and gets along with everybody and just really is like a light of the world type kid. And yeah, I've definitely gotten to sit down with her a little bit and have conversations, like not conversations because she usually runs away. but I can get a few words in and she'll be like, cool, and then she goes off and does her own thing. But I know one day she'll sit down with me and be able to look back and remember things together, and
Yeah.
I have faith that she'll definitely get there.
How does she communicate with you when Carly is trying to get a point across, trying to speak with you in her own unique Carly way? How would you describe her communication and how she reaches you?
You're gonna need a censor button for this show. When she's making her point, she uses bad language. Um, but yeah, I mean, she's just a very spirited kid, and when she wants what she wants you to let her have it. And so you gotta, as her parent, you gotta choose your battles because
Yeah.
you don't enjoy those moments where she yells at you. And she's going to come and say, I'm sorry 10 minutes later, but it doesn't make it hurt any less because she says things out of control. But it's a lot, man. It's a lot. And this is like, I think I'm showing an example of why autism dads, especially, we're the quiet ones. Like, we'll see each other and be like, hey. And it's like we go to dance every Tuesday, and I'll see the other dads there, and even some of their kids have like Down syndrome or like the others, and we don't even hardly talk to each other because
Yeah.
we're all just like, oh, all right, let's just have
Yeah.
a few minutes here where somebody else is taking care of them, but the moms all
Yeah, they talk.
they all talk to each other and like, oh yeah, it's like this, and then this happens, and yep, oh I can definitely, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
The dads will sit there quiet. We're lucky if we exchange names. It's and it probably shouldn't be that way, but that's just how it is. Like we internalize it, I feel like, and I've never meant to, but I definitely fall into that category of someone that does internalize it, and I don't talk about it. So kind of like, when I see those things on Instagram, using my story as a way to speak,
Yeah.
I do that.
Why do you think it is that you experience more often than not that women who are parenting someone with autism or Down syndrome or any type of intellectual or whatever disability would be out there? Why do you think it's more that women will speak about it and men will stay quiet? Why do you think there's that difference that is so clear when you're in a room like you just described?
I just think that they, quickly relate to each other, and that's great. That's great. For Kristen, that was awesome. And we've been in it for almost 2 years now, and it's been awesome to like see her get to talk to some moms that are going through similar stuff.
Yeah.
Carly has a kid in her class that's a lot like her, and so Kristen and the mom like get along really well. It's really cool to see that and watch that, and I'm like, dang, I wish I could do that, but at the same time, I'm not comfortable talking about it. Like, you could come to me at the end of the day and be like, what'd you go through today? And I'll be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just got through it, and I just did what I had to do for my child to have a good day.
Well, and when I see you post those things, and I kind of see what's going on, I'll I'll reach out to you in private. You are such a loving and caring person, and you've always, you know, I think when we first started our friendship, it would surprise me when something would come through and, like when you would just say something, but there's things that I don't forget. And then, as time's gone by, I'll paint a picture for the people watching and listening. Years ago, I was at the timeshare and you were going to leave. And so you were standing behind your car. And it's weird the things you remember. It's like we were standing behind the car, the trunk was open, we were talking, and I said something to you like, oh, I really appreciate it. Or, I was talking about you being there, or I love you, buddy, or something like that. And you looked at me and you said, well, you're my best friend.
Yep.
And then fast forward to May, just a month ago, and you coming over, and we were just walking, and we had get already hugged, and we said hello, and I saw the girls, and saw my mom, and I saw your sister, and then it was just us standing there, and you put your arm around me, and you didn't say anything in that moment, but I got it, and I feel like knowing you and knowing how much love you give, I always want you to know that like it's coming back to you. Praying for you all the time and wanting the best for you, like it's all going to come back full circle. We both believe in God, and I want you to know that even if you're quiet in those moments, one, you can always talk to me if you don't want to be quiet. But at the same time, I just you genuinely show your love so easily, and it's so real. And I feel like when you find a human being where you have no question how they feel about you, that's a beautiful thing. So I just want to make sure I say thank you for that.
Yeah, no, that was good, man. I'm glad you came down. That was a lot of fun. The girls enjoyed themselves. You got to meet my sister too, which don't get to do that very often. So it was a good time, and good to see the girls just flying through the water and able to kind of do their own thing now. It's so weird to me to let go of them and just let them go play with each other, and they love to just go and do their own thing. And as long as I can see them, I'm good.
And you said that day when we were all in the water, Carly kept coming up and hugging you. And she just kept giving you hugs and, staying there with you and talking to you. And you said, I'm going to take this cuz this doesn't happen all the time. Bring me back into that moment and what that was like to see that, emotion from her and how she wanted to just be with her dad. Like you said, it's hard to let go, but you've learned to, and you let go and let them go play, and then she was running right back to you and swimming over to you in the water and spending a lot of time hugging you. And I looked at it like this is a normal thing, and you're like, no, it's not.
Yeah, did you ever see that old movie with Tom Cruise, Rain Man?
I know, yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
There's a line Tom Cruise says to Dustin Hoffman in that movie, and he says, sometimes I think this autism is just BS. You gotta be in there somewhere. And those are the moments where I'm like, well, that's the real Carly. She's a sweet, loving child. And she'll come up and hug you, and I think she'd probably do it a lot more, if not for being autistic. But like when she does it, you get excited. And you're like, yeah, that's nice to see that, she does love me. Aw.
Yeah.
So
I mean, to
yeah,
go
that's
to go through all those moments with her where you say like I know you're in there somewhere, to get to a place where she gives you that hug. Like, bring me into how do you feel that? How do you experience that, to have all these moments of I know you're there, and then the moment where she shows you like, yes, dad, I'm right here. Like, bring me through that timeline and what it feels like to get to those moments.
yeah, well, you appreciate it a lot because, that wasn't always a thing. So you appreciate it a lot. And obviously, she didn't really start talking till just recently. So a lot of things you thought were going over her head, she understood it. And like I said, there's times that she'll come and be like, "Oh, I remember when I was 4 and we used to go to the park and we would do this." And it's like, "Oh, so you were paying attention. You just couldn't tell me." And now it's just she's come out a lot and she can talk to you, but you try not to have too many serious conversations because if you do, she runs away. So when you're like, "Hey, I want to talk to you," she's gone.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's awesome to see when she lets herself come out just a little bit as far as what a loving child she is. And obviously with Gracie, she cares so much about Gracie, and Gracie's her little advocate. Gracie like spots her when she's doing gymnastics, and when they do dances together, they teach each other dances. They'll come stop me and be like, "Dad, we want to show you this dance we're doing," and they do it together, and it's something they just threw together and learned, and it's just like it's really cool to see them do that because, as you know, like it took us getting a trampoline in the old house to finally get them to really acknowledge each other, that they were actually sisters and could play together. That was when that first started happening, when like Gracie was like 3 and Carly was 5.
Yeah. And I got to come over and experience that, and Jason told me I was jumping really high, and I am a giant child, and I think the look in his eyes was of terror. The look in my eyes was I'm going to I'm going to be like I'm going to fly. That was the look in my eyes. So, this is something you posted. I want to share it. It says, never underestimate a parent raising a disabled child. You see exhaustion, we see survival. We've fought systems, sat through appointments, cried in hospital bathrooms, advocated when no one listened. We've learned to celebrate milestones others overlook. We've become experts, advocates, therapists, nurses, teachers, all while simply trying to be mom or dad. We show up tired, we show up scared, we show up overwhelmed, but we still show up. Not because we're extraordinary, because our children deserve someone who will never stop fighting for them. If you're reading this, I'm proud of you. Keep going. bring me into
Yeah.
that and posting that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Carly used to get suspended from school all the time. And then some of the stuff that comes with that is like the school will call the Department of Children and Families. They send them to your door to check on your child's well-being. And here you are just sitting there doing your best. But one of the things of autism is going into character. And for Carly, that meant in those days Tilly Green, who wore a purple dress.
Yeah.
And she wore the purple dress, I don't know how many days in a row to school. We'd wash it every day.
Yeah.
Put it back on.
Yeah.
Because she was Tilly Green. She wasn't Carly. I'm Tilly. Okay. Where's purple dress?
Yeah.
So, like you're sitting here just doing your best to get her through the day and choosing your battles, as I said before. Um, and they're sending DCF over to the house just to make sure you're not beating the child or, making sure they have somewhere to sleep that's nice. And then, you turn around and there's other kids that were in that same city we were in that, they either ran away and were found in a lake or, they found that they were living in a situation where the parents locked the bathroom because there's just some cruel bastards out there that are parenting these kids that they don't want to. So they torture them. So you wish DCF had went and knocked on that door and saved a life versus my door, and you got to see why Carly, like, she stems. That's what sent the guy away, because he asked me, and I'm going to get a little specific and this is going to be it, but he asked me if my child touches herself in her privates, and I said, not really. I said, but she does like to stem. There's a stem that she does, and this is what autistic people do when they're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
They have little stems. Some of them will, do stuff like with their hands, or they'll do, flapping or anything like that. Well, Carly's stem was getting in the car seat and basically like grinding on the belt.
Yeah.
And while he was there, she, on her own, we didn't say anything to her. He was on the couch talking to Kristen. She went out in the garage, got in the car, jumped in the car seat, and started doing that. And I said, "Sir, I don't mean to interrupt, but if you could just get up and follow me for a second." He came in the garage and he saw Carly doing her stem.
Yeah.
He came back in the door and he said, "I'm sorry to have bothered you guys. I'm going to go ahead and close this case." He was wasting his time, and he knew it.
Yeah.
And we just have always been the parents that are doing our best and doing what's, fighting for her, fighting IEP meetings, trying to get her the accommodation she needs. It's not trying to get her special treatment. It's trying to get her things she needs. And, I think a lot of people don't understand that, she's dealing with things that your child will never know anything about. Thank goodness. So.
Well, and I mean, for you to have those knocks on the door, I mean, I can't even begin to imagine the sleepless nights. I mean, I was there for one of them when she was having, you said, getting her to go to sleep at night a while back, really hard. That she would be very physically, emotional and yelling and whatnot. And it sounded terrible. I mean, it sounded like she was struggling, and it's like, what do you do? And you go through all of these moments, all of these things that you've endured, Kristen's endured, and then you get a knock on the door of, well, somebody called and she's wearing the same clothes every day. We just want to make sure that she's not in a bad house. I mean, I understand people doing their job, but I mean, when you're on your last breath of the day and you're answering questions that you don't need to answer, how have you gotten through this? Because again, and I will tell people, Jason shows up for me every time. And I have never heard this man complain. So, how have you navigated the moments of there's a knock on the door and now you have to defend your parenting?
Let's see. Well, the second time I greeted them a little differently than the first time. The second time I said, and he was there with a police officer. So what he's like, because it's the second time we've been called. And this time it was about something she drew at school, which we still don't even know what it was exactly.
Yeah.
But he came with a police officer, and I said, you know, first of all, I'm in the backyard trying to help my father-in-law buy a parking pass to the Dolphins game that weekend on the phone. And they're acting like I'm ignoring the door. But honestly, we had Jackson then, the crazy dog that bites people. So I just was like, I don't know who's at the door. I didn't know who it was. So they came yelling over the fence who they were. So I went around the front, and like the way I greeted them was just like, just so you know, I've already spoken to a lawyer about you guys coming here. She said to invite you in and get you a drink. Unfortunately, if I invite you in, my dog is going to eat you. So we got to talk out here. I can't invite you in the house.
Yeah.
So, and he's like, well, we do need to come inside eventually. And I'm like, okay, I mean, it's at your own risk.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now. So, yeah. And even after about 10 minutes of talking to me and Gracie was there, Gracie liked the guy. She was so nice to him, and it was so funny. The cop looks at the guy and goes, you know, I have a real call that I need to go on. Can I go?
Yeah.
Wasting his time. Just wait a second time. You know, but that's, I'm glad they come. I'm glad they check. But then you hear on the news, you know, that story about the little boy that just was running for his life from his parents because they were abusing him because he was autistic. They didn't go to that door.
Yeah. On that's the hard thing, right? Is how many of those stories do you hear and how many of them can you take hearing? And I always tell people, when you are who you say you are, you got nothing to hide. And I know the type of dad you are. And the thing that I see, and this was you before children, but it continues to be you, is you will do whatever it takes to get to the next day. And that's why my prayer for you continues to be that you get to do your dream job. You get to do what you love and love what you do, because you have done anything and everything that you could do with morals and values and showing up to this job or showing up to that job to make sure that you could take care of them. And, you know, I always think about who's taking care of you, and I pray to God. And, you know, for me, it's, I want to see you doing what you love and loving what you do, because that's how I met you. And you do it differently. I wish every SID was like you. I wish SIDs and sports people gave people chances. I wish they didn't treat everybody the same. I mean, our friendship started on you taking a chance on me and me taking that chance and running with it. I will never forget not being a part of the team, but then being a part of the team and not being there for a couple weeks because of, I think I went home and then whatever else happened. And I showed up and you're like, where were you? And you didn't say that to a lot of the other media people. You said, where you been? And I said, I've been out for a couple weeks, but I wanted to be here. And then you kind of looked at me like, don't do that again. Like
Yeah.
don't not be here. And you've always shown up. And you mentioned Gracie, you're obviously you have two daughters and you have Carter up in heaven, and Gracie, another niece of mine, a niece that I now know that I can be a velociraptor. I also know that I can be a sea-doo in the water. I also know that I need to run more. And so but just what you can say about Gracie, and like you said, building a relationship with Carly. And I want to mention this because you posted this as well. It says behind every child with special needs is often a sibling quietly growing into one of the most compassionate people you'll ever meet. That is to a T, Gracie. So I'd love for you to expand on that.
Yeah, it's a hard road to hold for Gracie. Um, when she was little, like she went into therapy a little bit because she didn't know how to handle her sister. And we would talk about it, or she would tell me that she talked about it in therapy, and
Yeah.
she was going to try to do this better and whatever. And now she has moments where she's like, Daddy, I don't know how much longer I can do this. She's like, Carly hates me. Carly doesn't love me. Carly, in her bad moments, these are the things that she says.
Yeah.
And 15, 20 minutes go by. They're apologizing to each other. And she goes right back to playing with Carly. And she just, rub some dirt on it, get up and rub some dirt on that little wound and make it feel better, whatever you got to do. And I always tell her, Carly loves you. She doesn't mean anything that she says when she gets a certain way, immediately she doesn't mean any of it. And just wait for her to calm down and she'll apologize. But for Gracie, I know it's very hard. I know it's very hard to be,
Yeah.
the little child that has to grow up fast. Um, even Kristen and I were talking about like, we got to look at a babysitter for the girls. And I'm like, well, I think the biggest thing I could do is probably get Gracie comfortable in the kitchen. Because my biggest concern is just like them getting from place to place. But like babysitting wise, Carly's pretty self-sufficient in the kitchen, can make herself things, but Gracie is not. So
Yeah.
yeah, she's had to grow up very fast and fight her own things that are a little off with her because she was even more premature than Carly was.
Yeah.
So she did 41 days in the NICU and Carly only did 17. So Gracie has her own little quirks that are a little bit weird about her and that make her who she is. But yeah, she goes through a lot for a little almost 9-year-old now, and she's counting down to her birthday every day now. She's like, Dad, how many days is it? 22, 23, 21? So she's very excited for her birthday. And here in a couple weeks, they're gonna go spend some time with their Mimi, their grandma down in Naples for 2 weeks. And it's gonna be the longest Kristen and I have ever been away from them.
Yeah.
So that should be interesting. But yeah, Gracie's had a lot of challenges and she meets them. She struggled with math this year and we got her a math tutor and she's been working hard over the summer to get ready for fourth grade. And she's like kind of owned it. Pretty proud of her doing that for sure.
One something that I saw with them, and you mentioned it, is that they do have their own language where they can find each other, meet each other where they're at, and it comes in dance. Speak to that side of it and how I know you've had time with Carly, being proud of her, seeing her with her friends and bring something to life on stage. And then also, that's how her and Gracie talk with each other when they're not talking with each other. So just how dance has been one of those things where the language gets through, the relationship builds, and the connection grows.
Yeah, dance is one of those happy accidents. As far as we got into dance, and it's called Chance to Dance. There's one in New York City too. Um, it's called Chance to Dance, and the we got this for Carly because it's for special needs kids to be able to be included in dance. And little did we know when we got there, they had for the neurotypical kids classes too.
Yeah.
And so Carly was in her first class, and the owner comes out and goes, if Gracie wants to dance, we have classes for her too. And after about 5 minutes of, I don't know if I want to, she's like, well, you could try today and just see how it goes for free.
Yeah.
And Gracie's one of the best dancers in her class now. And they're like trying to move her up to the competition team and all this stuff. And so it's just been really neat to see them kind of bond over it, even though Carly was a little jealous, and she still kind of is here and there. She's like, she wanted dance to be her thing. So in those moments, she's like, no dance for you, Gracie. But here at the house, they bond over it. They, create little dances together, like I said, and they do them. They'll get my attention and make me watch and judge them. And yeah, they've come so far as sisters for sure. It's been rewarding to watch it.
Yeah. And I've learned that, Gracie will teach me step by step. This is our dance. This is what we're going to do, Dan. And, Uncle Dan, here we go. And she will bring me step by step. And I've learned that as much as I'm a quick learner, even she has to slow it down for me and be like, all right, show it to me again. How are we doing this? But, I thought it was important today to share it out loud, because you're either silent or you share it through, Instagram posts and messages, which I get that. And I do that too in my own way about things. I wanted to shine a light on it because there's somebody else out there that has that happening right now in their lives. And they need to know that it's going to be okay. They need to know that, yeah, there's going to be tough days in any walk of life. But again, I see the type of father you are. I see the type of person you are. I see the type of man that you've grown to be. And I wish there were other people like you out there. So hopefully we can help people get there by talking about it today.
Yeah, if anybody was going to get me to do it, it'd be you, because I do not talk about it too much. I don't share what I go through very, very often. So that was about as much as you'll get right there.
Well, with our last few minutes here for today with Jason Lucas, my brother, and a sports and entertainment veteran who is on the precipice of a blessing from God that I believe will be better than everyone before it when it comes to your job, because I know it's coming, whatever that may be. I do want to look at the world of college sports here for a second. And I guess where I want to go is something that I spoke about this past week. Probably one of the strangest things I've ever seen in sports, and I feel like I say that in today's college climate, and then something else really weird happens. But let me just share with everybody. If you don't know the story of Brendan Sorsby, let me tell it to you. So, this is the timeline of Texas Tech quarterback who's never played for Texas Tech. He was at Indiana for 2 years. He was at Cincinnati for 2 years. And then he made his way over to Texas Tech. Here's the timeline of Brendan Sorsby. For those of you that don't know the story, as Jason and I have had numerous conversations about things that should feel like common sense, but for some people it's not. Brendan Sorsby was a quarterback at Indiana. Then he got in the transfer portal and went to Cincinnati. Then he got in the transfer portal and went to Texas Tech this past offseason. During this 2026 offseason, Sorsby's gambling problem surfaced. Allegedly, people didn't know about it. The NCAA said, guess what? You're not playing. When? Ever, probably. Allegedly, he had gambled not once, not twice, not 10 times, not 100 times, but over 1,000 times. A Texas District Court judge, Ken Curry, granted a temporary injunction against the NCAA. because basically the NCAA will rule something, and then literally any state in the United States of America will go, yeah, we don't like that. And then the NCAA loses because the NCAA has no Johnny Cochrans on their legal side of things, and that's pretty clear. The Big 12 Conference sued Texas Tech. Raise your hand if you know how many times a conference has sued one of its own institutions. Then Sorsby changed paths. Seemingly he was going to play. Seemingly some of the Big 12 teams were not going to play Texas Tech. Seemingly some of the other conferences were not going to play Texas Tech in non-conference games. They were going to freeze them out, but Sorsby was still going to play. Then Sorsby went, you know what? I'm just going to go to the NFL. I'm going to go in a supplemental draft. Then the NFL said, we're not doing a supplemental draft for you this year. You can try and be in our draft in 2027, which has now led us to the CFL not letting him in the UFL, maybe? Jay Bird, we've talked about a lot of things that make no sense. I would love to hear your thoughts about the Brendan Sorsby saga.
I think the first thing to say, and it might be the Captain Obvious moment of the year, is when you play sports. Why is Pete Rose not in the Baseball Hall of Fame? Gambling. He's not in that's professional.
Yeah.
This is college. You're not even a professional yet. Hell yeah, the NFL's telling you no. And probably no forever. They probably will never want him there.
Yeah.
That's my thought on it, is that you just screwed yourself for life. Why? Over who knows how much.
Right.
But honestly, you're making money in NIL. You don't need to gamble it. You could just sit right there with what it is and then cruise on into the NFL where they'll pay you millions. Now, I looked up his numbers at one point during this and was just like, I'm not even impressed to the point of him being an NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
Certainly not one of the best 32 where he's going to be like a high draft pick and go start. What are you doing?
Yeah. Well, and there's a sense of privilege you feel, right? With the, well, yeah, I did this, and yeah, it came out, and I went and got help. So now I'm just going to keep. And listen, I believe everybody. I want to believe people deserve a second chance. I really want to believe that. I look at this and I say to myself, when it comes to this specifically, though, the NFL suspended Calvin Ridley for an entire year when he was the number one wide receiver for Atlanta for gambling. They suspended Jamison Williams for a bunch of games for gambling. They don't put up with this stuff. If you know a known gambler is, put it to you like this. The NFL has had to deal with people that commit domestic violence, people that have hit people with their cars, people that have driven while intoxicated or under the influence of something, and gamblers. It's not a good look when someone's already a pro and the NFL goes, well, you hit somebody with your car, but you can play and you can't. Or Ray Rice, you're going to be banned, but Greg Hardy, come on and keep playing. The NFL has made it abundantly clear. I think they've even made it more clear than domestic violence, which is insane, that they don't want gamblers more than the domestic violence side of things. If you gamble and the NFL catches you, it doesn't matter who you gambled on, what you gambled for, how you gambled, when. It doesn't even matter. It's you will not play 5 games, 7 games, the whole season. So to say we're going to make an exception and have a supplemental draft for a known gambler when we suspend other people, what's the NFL going to do? Let them get drafted and then suspend them immediately? And who's going to pick them up? The Cleveland Browns because they like drama? Like, where are you going to go in this case? And like Jason said, not even that it matters because of the bigger picture here, but let's just look at his numbers, okay? 2022, that was his redshirt year. He didn't do anything. He threw 6 passes. And then in 2023, He had a 57% completion percentage for Indiana, 1,587 yards, 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Indiana wasn't really that great. And then in 2024, Cincinnati, he went there. He 64% completion percentage, 2,813 yards, 18 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Last year for Cincinnati, he had 61.6% completion percentage, 2,800 yards, 27 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. Not shabby, right? Not bad. His interceptions never were in double digits. He has thrown for at least 2,800 yards in the last 2 seasons. His completion percentage is over 60%, which is all well and good. But again, I mean, does it say, wow, are you sitting here going, oh my goodness, is it worth the liability? And the reality of it all is, if you told me this guy had 40 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, threw for 4,500 yards, and his completion percentage was, 70%, and he was a known gambler, I know myself, I would say thank you, but no thanks. I'd rather take the guy who's 64% completion percentage, 2,700 yards, 14 touchdowns to 9 interceptions, and I'll work with him. But I mean, Jason, where are we what is happening with the NCAA that they cannot keep a known gambler from playing college football? Like, do they have any authority? I know the answer, but I'm asking.
Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, I've heard coaches say it's the Wild West right now. It's kind of nobody knows exactly what the rules are. But I know for sure one of them rules is don't gamble and don't gamble on games that you can control the outcome of.
Which he can.
And, you got to keep these kids out of trouble with gambling. Because hopefully we don't start hearing a bunch of stories about kids gambling. That's my fears. Well, if one of them did it, who's to say a percentage of them aren't doing it?
Yeah, he ain't the only one.
How easy is it to get these apps on your phone, load it up from your bank account, and place a bet? It's not hard. If I can figure it out, anybody can.
Well, it's greed. You've now, what has happened? You have allowed money to flow in freely to children, to teenagers in college, and you're wondering why they're taking the money that they have and thinking it's not enough and wanting to make more of it. So, and then there's going to be somebody that argues this, right? Well, if I'm a professional and I gamble and I make more money, what's the difference with the stock market, and what's the difference with me doing this, and if I do this, or if they're good at, and somebody's going to state that it's okay, right? We live in America where it's not black and white, it's gray. It's not you killed somebody, it's, well, why'd you do it? Did you have a bad Tuesday? Well, if you had a bad Tuesday, I guess we get it. And this is where we're on a slippery slope, but the NCAA has no authority. They really don't. And I said this over 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago, on the show here on Wake Up Call. I said 5 to 10 years from now, the NCAA, if they continue going down the path that they're going down, are either going to look drastically different or they're not going to exist at all.
Yep.
That prediction, is here, and this is the world we're living in. So my question to you in closing, Jay, is one, does Brendan Sorsby try to go back to college now? I mean, what do you think he gets on the field at all is number one. Number two, what do you think about the Big 12 suing one of their own members? And number three, does the NCAA really have a backbone at all?
Number one is hard to make a prediction on because it's football, right? They usually find a way to get football players on the football field. Mm-hmm. However, I mean, this isn't like somebody that was going to go top 5, top 10, top 20 in the draft. So you got to figure that if he does get in there, he might make a team as a backup.
Yeah.
That's possible, I guess. I think it was interesting how everybody united as far as the Big 12 suing the school goes. And honestly, he wasn't at Texas Tech when he did this. He was at Cincinnati when he did this.
Yeah.
So if we're going to sue somebody,
Same conference too.
yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
If we're going to sue somebody, wouldn't it be the school he was at when he did it versus where he is now while there's no games going on?
Yeah.
What was number 3?
Number 3 was, does the NCAA have a backbone?
They barely have anything left at this point. So no, I feel like, it's kind of just being policed by the conferences as best they can. But as the money keeps coming in, the contracts for the kids keep getting bigger.
Yeah.
There's going to come a point where they all run out of money, unfortunately. I mean, it's because at what point do you realize that ESPN is like the one funding the whole thing? It's all your boys over there at Disney that are funding this.
Well, the thing is like, and what does Disney keep doing? They fire people because they don't have any money. So they're bleeding money. They're like ESPN, Disney owns ESPN. ESPN buys all this sports stuff up. Then they bleed it out and they fire a bunch of people. And then they eventually bring them back. Like Mike Golick's coming back now. Berman comes back every once in a while to do a few things. But, I mean, Scott Van Pelt's still there. They've made some type of a workable thing between the NFL Network, ESPN, and Rich Eisen. But I don't understand how people don't see what's happening. Because I made predictions on the show, you and I have talked about them. And then I talked to people in the industry, former coaches, current coaches, athletic directors, people that are running bowl games. And they're all corroborating my story. And it's not a prediction I wanted to be correct. But the CSC is here now with the college, sport commission. To me, there's already a movement of, you got an autonomy 4. You really have an autonomy 2 in the SEC and the Big Ten. So you got the SEC and the Big Ten that I believe and predicted back in 2021 that the SEC was going to leave. Then I said I think the Big Ten, after taking the West Coast school, is going to leave with them. You already see that they pander to them in the CFP. They pander to them with the NCAA men's basketball tournament because you don't want to piss them off because they got the money to leave and they have the resources to leave and they have the schools to leave. So you have those two in the autonomy group. Then you have the overall autonomy group, which means self-governing, which is telling the NCAA, we're only here in spirit, but not in actual reality or legislative term. That's a real thing already. Plus you have the money that's everywhere. You have free agency. And you have the CSC that's found its way in to be like, we're not the NCAA, but we're not the NCAA. So I just feel like how much longer are we going to play with Monopoly money and Candyland parts and just start telling the truth of what this really is?
Yeah, something that somewhere in everything you just said, it just popped to me like, since last time we talked, I know that I had said about Nick Saban and why he's not coaching anymore.
Yeah.
And why Gus Malzahn didn't work out at UCF. And now Gus Malzahn has retired. And then when you think of ESPN and the other side of the coin, one thing we didn't mention is just kind of quietly, Kirk Herbstreit has said this is his last season doing College Game Day. And he's young. He's, in his 50s. Like there's, I'm sure he's made his money, but I know he's burned himself out the last couple of years. Maybe that's why, but I wonder if, between college football fans beating up on him the last few years with his opinion and how the CFP takes his opinion so seriously or whatever.
Yeah.
If he's just done with how it works and he just wants to go off and play with his cute little dogs. Like he's done. So, I think there's a lot of people kind of washing their hands of the way it's ran.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, it's you got to call a spade a spade. You have to say what's actually happening. You and I have talked about things for years. If people go back and watch my conversations with Jason on this show, you will literally see a timeline of, oh, they said that 4 years before it happened, 3 years before it happened, 7 years before it happened. They just said that yesterday. That's happening. They said that on, 3 months ago. And that seems like, I mean, we look like we have Nostradamus this whole thing, but all we've been doing is paying attention. You got a brain, I got a brain. You got a heart, I got a heart. We put it in the right place, pure intention, pure heart, good intention. And we've seen it. You and I have seen it. I've jokingly said with people, but then non-jokingly said with people, let me be the president of whatever you start. Let me be the person that leads whatever the next thing is. Because you need it, you don't have it, and guess what? I don't owe anybody anything.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing anybody's patches on me. So let me do it. Something needs to change. And I'm okay to go out there and state the truth. Because I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And we can't. Like, I appreciate the NCAA and every opportunity and every door that they've opened that I've knocked on. I appreciate it. But please understand, when I say you have no power and you have no backbone, I'm fighting for you, not against you. I'm stating something you know, and I'm trying to help you. Because if you don't have any authority, then there is nobody to stop anybody from anything at any point. And again, I say this as the main point of college. The main point. Mom and dad take care of you, or guardian, or grandma and grandpa, whoever you're in the house of when you're a child. This is who's taking care of you. The real world, you ain't in it yet. Then you're in the real world. The bridge in between of I'm being taken care of to I have to take care of myself, that bridge is college. The bridge of you're out there, but you're not out there yet. The bridge of I'm learning the skills, I'm gaining some independence, I may be working for the first time, but I'm not out there yet. Without the bridge to balance the mommy and daddy got me to I got myself, without that bridge to just throw someone in the water with no floaties and no training, these kids are going to drown. And what nobody wants to talk about is that these kids that are getting paid to play, that don't have to go to class, that don't have to care about anything, and definitely don't have to care about their future, they're going to be right back in the same neighborhood around the same people with no money in 4 years, 3 years, 2 years. They're going to use and abuse them at these schools. They're going to manipulate and make money off of these kids, and then the kids will be right back where they were. Some of them will be dead. Let's be real. Some of them will get into places they shouldn't be in. If we don't put a fence around the barn, the horses will run every night, and we will have to try and bring them in every single night. The one thing that nobody is caring about in today's collegiate athletic that can make the decision, blanket policy, I'm not talking about commissioners and ADs and all that. I know there's people that care. I talk with them all the time. The people that are in power, the most important part of this entire soup, the biggest ingredient, is to care about the welfare of children. And they're not doing that.
100%. And I don't, as everybody knows, I do this hands-free. I have nothing to tell me this, but the last time I checked, there was something like 6,000 kids in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
And it's becoming more and more common that the transfer portal is where you end up retiring from football altogether.
Yeah.
Kids aren't getting picked up out of the transfer portal at alarming rates anymore. I think at one point maybe they were, and now there's a percentage of the kids that go in there that never go anywhere.
Yeah.
And they're just done, and they're right what you said, right back where they came from. So it's the world we're living in. It's the world we're living in. And, my biggest thing with, looking into even wanting to be a part of the college football world is that it is more of a professional sports thing now.
Yeah.
It's more of, they're not amateurs anymore. They are more like professionals. So to me, who my only background is in professional sports, really kind of piques the interest of, hey, I'm not somebody who's, trying to unlearn what college ways are like. I know the professional way to come in and do things.
Well, the reality of it all is somebody's got to start caring. Somebody's got to start figuring this thing out. And somebody has to start putting these kids first, because how many people tell the stories of the ones that don't play professionally, which is the millions to the very tiny few that make it to the next level. So with that being said, let's do better. We started talking about kids. We're ending talking about kids. And the sentiment is the same. Jay Bird, it always goes by too fast. I love you. I'll look forward to talking with you soon. I'll get you back on here soon, I promise. Hopefully I'll see you soon. And please give Carly and Gracie my love, and let them know that Uncle Dan really needed that day in May, and I appreciate it.
Well, I definitely appreciate the forum to talk about it, Dan, and we love you too. And hey, see you in August. Fantasy football right around the corner.
That's right. Yes, absolutely. I look forward to it. All right, bro. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, buddy. Later.
See you. That come from Jason Lucas one more time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. It is now time to get on the phone with the man, Neel Bhattacharjee. Very excited to have Neel joining us on the broadcast here, where sports meets that thing called life. Now, Neel could not be with us today, unfortunately, on camera because he is driving. So we're going to instead have Neel be with us on the phone, which is more than okay, as we're here with Neel Bhattacharjee. And so we're going to bring up his graphic here. I hope that Neel's okay with the fact that we have his, we got his mug up on the screen, and it's going to stay up on the screen. So I appreciate his patience in this edition of the Bearcat Breakroom in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University to have Neel Bhattacharjee here on the show, joining me where sports truly meets that thing called life. Mr. Bhattacharjee, how we doing?
I'm doing great, Dan. Enjoying the summer. How about you?
I'm doing very well. I appreciate your patience this morning as we were, talking about a few things and taking care of kids and the importance of looking out for children and in all walks of life, including in the sports world. So I appreciate you being here with us this morning. And of course, Neel, the head coach of the Binghamton women's soccer program. They're coming off of a strong season and something to build upon. And speaking of soccer, the World Cup's going on. Last time Neel was on the show, we spoke about the World Cup potentially going to the World Cup, and he got to do that in Boston yesterday. Neel, not only did you go to the World Cup here in North America, but you arguably went to not only one of the best games of this World Cup, but one of the best games ever in the history of the World Cup, where a juggernaut was defeated in extra time by penalty kicks.
Yeah, great environment to be up in Foxborough. Very contrasting styles. Paraguay elected to play a low block to defend against Germany, and then Germany, one of the traditional powerhouses, in the world of men's soccer. So, to see those two contrasting styles get after it, obviously worked out very well in Paraguay's favor in terms of what they wanted to do as far as their game plan, extra time, and then winning it in penalty kicks. But it's just such an amazing environment to be in. I love the World Cup, and to be there in person and take it all in, and see the fans get all riled up. Just an amazing experience. Really enjoyed it. I get to go to another game in New Jersey this Sunday. So it's going to be Brazil versus the winner of Norway, Ivory Coast. That game's taking place in a couple hours. So just trying to soak this all in and make some memories and taking some history.
Yeah, and when you look at, like you said, I mean, being able, you and I talked about it the last time, you were on the show, of I wanted to go to a game, you wanted to go to a game. So bring me into how it all came about that you said, hey, if I can make it work, I'm going to make it work. How did Boston even come to be?
Yeah, so along with that, I was looking for tickets, tried to do the FIFA lottery and all of that, like millions of other people. It didn't quite work out for me. I went to the resale sites, and obviously those prices are jacked up. But got pretty fortunate, and I have someone connection that I worked with previously. His name's Alan Zebracket. He worked at GW where I was a former assistant, and then in facilities there. And then he worked at UMass Lowell, which, I got to see him whenever I was with Binghamton, and we would go up to Lowell to play. And he had a position there in facilities there as well. So I noticed that the last time we played Lowell, this past year, he wasn't there. And I reached out to my good friend, and I said, hey, what's going on? As you take a new position. He's like, yeah, I'm actually going to be working with FIFA at the Foxborough site. And I said, oh, okay, well, good for you. And he mentioned, there might be a chance at the very end that there might be tickets available. So if that's the case, reach out. And I was able to do that. And he got me a Category 1 ticket for this game yesterday. So we had terrific seats near midfield. Got me a Category 2 ticket for New Jersey next weekend. It just worked out very, very well. Still not the cheapest of ways to go, because you're paying face value. But as we know, FIFA has really put a premium on these tickets. But hey, it's a once in a lifetime thing, and well, actually, my case, twice in a lifetime thing now, because I was able to go to games in '94, but was able to make it work out that I could make a couple games somehow, get to it and have it be relatively affordable in doing so.
Yeah, and I mean, like you just mentioned here, speaking with Neel Bhattacharjee, Binghamton women's soccer head coach, in his road through the World Cup. And, we talk about networking, the importance of building relationships, being a relationship-based person and not a transactional person. If you're a transactional person, you treat somebody like an ATM, you probably can't call your friend that you called here recently. But when you care about relationships and building those bonds and connections over time, then, that is a bridge that when something comes up, these opportunities arise. So I'd love for you to go a little bit deeper into the fact of building relationships, building bridges, and how that always seems to turn into an unexpected blessing.
Yeah, I think for people, you just treat them how you want to be treated, right? The golden rule, and do things the right way. And I never forget those relationships either. Just because, I may have worked with you, 10 years, 20 years ago, I think I can always look back at, oh, okay, I remember those experiences that we had together. And I think that's just an important way of just, again, how you go about things and how you treat people and all of that. So if you can do that, you build up relationships over time. And with this game, as we're seeing in the World Cup, it's something that brings people together. And I think for all of us, we're kind of living in this world where we're kind of, essentially yearning for connection and to be together and to have joy and experience life. And what a great way to go about life, and to do it in the World Cup is one thing, but just generally, and just in terms of how you treat one another and with people, and you'll never forget that. You'll never forget how someone was treated, and you don't need to have something given to you or promised to you in order to build that relationship. It's just something, if it's natural, build that connection, and those relationships, to me, they'll last a lifetime.
So having one of those relationships that is lasted, and endured to make that phone call, and to, hear that one of your friends, somebody that somebody you've connected with, is working with FIFA, and then to realize this moment, just what I'm sure you've already said it to him, but what you would like to say about this, about the fact that, an organic, natural relationship, just what it turned into. Because I know how excited you were when we spoke, within the last couple weeks, And, you sounded like a little kid, like how I sound like, man, if I get to go, I'm going to go. I mean, now it's a reality. You've been to one. You're going to go to another game here coming up. What do you want to say to that gentleman that you mentioned, and just, what he was willing to do and how he was willing to help out?
Yeah, so I mean, I texted him after I got back, and so got back with a good friend of mine who actually lives in the Foxborough area. So he went to the game. He was able to get tickets another way, and we got back to his place, and we're sitting back to, of course, watch another game, to watch the Holland Morocco game. But I was texting my friend Alan that, like I mentioned, is the one that is working for this FIFA Boston site, and sent him texts. Of me just taking the experience, just how grateful and
we lost Neel here for a second here, so hopefully we'll get him back here in a second. But we did temporarily lose. He is on the road, so coming from me, we should be able to get him now. So let's see if we can bring him back in here. Neel, can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. So yeah, and you were saying that you reached out through a text and then we lost you.
Yeah, and then showing them some text photos of me soaking in the environment, the kickoff stuff that they do, and during the pregame with the flags and national anthems, and then the game itself, and seeing the scenes during the PKs and Paraguay celebrating at the end. Again, just an awesome environment and atmosphere to be in, and just extremely grateful and appreciative for him giving me that opportunity to experience all this.
Yeah, and to go, I mean, again, to go back to the specific game, I mean, to go to any game, you're going to see Germany, so you're seeing a country that you're not surprised is in the round of 32. Wouldn't be surprised if they're there at the end of things. They are one of the juggernaut countries. They're one of the ones that you think can pour it on. They've obviously shown their prowess in the group stages already, so to be at this game, they're facing off against Paraguay. Paraguay, it came down to the final days of if they were going to get in. They get one of the final spots. And then they go into this game against Germany. They score first. Then Germany scores to tie it. So here's little old Paraguay against the big juggernaut. And David responds to Goliath by getting on the board first. So Germany has to get the equalizer, not Paraguay, to force extra time. Then we go through these extra periods. Then we go to penalty kicks. And Paraguay, 4 they make out of 6. Germany only makes 3. And so Paraguay moves on. I mean, to be in this game itself, you saw a true David and Goliath. You saw a game where people were probably anticipating and expecting that Germany was going to handle this. You said it's 2 different styles, but I don't know how many people had Paraguay on their bingo card. So I'd love to get your thoughts on watching this game in Boston, in Foxborough, in real time, and seeing Paraguay come out striking first, and then holding strong when Germany equalized it, and then making sure that they kept their nerves at bay to win on penalty kicks.
Yeah, so seeing those different styles, I think Paraguay did what was going to work well for them. And, when they were going through qualifying, they were known as a pretty defensively stout team, that they don't give up very many goals. So they were going to cede some possession and then look for moments where they could take advantage of a counter where the game could open up. And that's, essentially what happened in the first half, where they sat in a low block. I think Germany had, must have been like 75%, 80% of the ball. And it was in Germany's attacking half. But, at the same time, like Germany was on the ball a lot, but for all those stats, all that possession, all the time that they had on the ball, they didn't really create a whole lot. So I thought Paraguay's defending, especially in the final third and in and around the 18, was pretty good. They really limited Germany to chances. Now, maybe that was a lack on Germany's part, but I think you got to give credit in terms of where some credit is due to Paraguay. And then there you go. They find that one moment against the run of play where the game opens up. They find a counter, great header goal, and now they're up 1-0. And then, credit to Germany to try to find a way to get a goal back in the second half, which they did. Great header by Kai Havertz, who had a great season at Arsenal this year. And probably, and this is my personal view, I thought a little bit unlucky that they had a VAR decision go against them, where they had a goal that they scored that was called back, deemed a foul on the goalkeeper. And then now you go to PKs, and looked like they had a plan for the PKs. Their goalkeeper, Orlando Gill, was excellent, made a couple huge saves, and they get to move on. So one of the bigger upsets in World Cup history. I gotta be there in the stands to take it all in and enjoy it. But well done to Paraguay, and it shows what you can do when a team believes, they come together, they've got a game plan, and you get to this stage of the knockout rounds of the World Cup. Anything can happen.
Yeah, and Neel, I mean, you being a fan of soccer, before being a coach, before being anything else, just being, simply, truly, and organically, honestly a fan. I wanna live, through you for a second and just, relive that moment, bring me back into the arena, bring me back to Foxborough. I was there when the Jaguars were taking on the Patriots for a right to go to the NFL's title game. So I have been in that arena, but I want my listeners and my viewers and myself to live through you. What were your emotions? How was your reaction? Relive the moment with us of seeing this game come down to penalties.
Yeah, I mean, I was just pumped and so psyched. Even just parking the car and then walking and then seeing Gillette Stadium, and you see all the FIFA signage and all of that, and yeah, you're right. I felt like a little kid, that joy of the game and the excitement that was, building up to it. You get to see, all these German fans, and how they're dressed up in their German jerseys, and the little German hats and all that, and the flags, and the Paraguay fans, same thing. And then you had a bunch of people like myself who are just, enthusiasts for the sport. So knowing that you're going to take it in, and then just being a part of the World Cup, this amazing event that only happens once every 4 years. Here it is in our backyard. Fortunate enough for me to just be able to drive up to Foxborough the morning of, instead of having to take an international flight, or like some of these other travel arrangements that people from all over the world are having to make in order to get here to North America to capture the games. And to see the game play at this level, there are a couple moments I just remember, I'm like, oh gosh, it's just amazing to see what these players can do. And I'm watching players that from both teams, about half of Germany's lineup was from Bayern Munich, one of the top teams in Europe and the world. Paraguay had a player from Real Madrid. One of the center backs for Germany plays for Real Madrid. Seeing these players who play for the top clubs, and seeing that level, just really makes you appreciate, oh my gosh, like the standard at which this game is played, the speed, the level, what they can do on the ball. Truly, it's breathtaking. It's one thing to see it on a TV screen, but to see it live in front of you and what they can do on the ball, the physicality, the athleticism, and what they're trying to do tactically. It's from a coaching player perspective, it's one thing, but yeah, like you said, like just taking it in as a fan, it brings a lot of joy, and that they're doing it for their country. Just that added element of the pride, the nationalism, and what they're trying to do to make their own population at home happy for what they're trying to accomplish on the field. And getting to experience and see all that, it's just amazing to partake in all of it. Just as a casual fan being there.
Yeah, I mean, I was so happy to see you get to do this and get to be a part of it. The pictures that you sent me, that I shared. I mean, just absolutely amazing. And this isn't. I mean, the World Cup is such a beautiful thing because there's this national pride, but then there's like going back to your roots. Like I tell people, I say, yes, of course, I'm an American. I cheer for the United States, but I get excited for Spain. When Italy's a part of it. I mean, that's where my family goes back to. That's my lineage. That's my heritage. That's my blood. So there's something to that. There's been the notion, Neel, that people have come from other countries to this North American Cup and they've apologized to America. They've gone on social media and said that we were wrong. Once again, as you and I both know, not all the media tells the truth. And there's been some people coming out from other countries allegedly stating very publicly what we were told about America is not what America actually is. And it's more positive than negative. They've welcomed us. Bring me into your thoughts on that and how you experienced that with Germany and Paraguay fans being there. Do you think that maybe people are realizing overseas and in other parts of the world that maybe America isn't what the media says it's cracked up to be?
Absolutely, 100%. I think if you listen to narratives and maybe what gets fed in the media, what is said by some of our political leaders, it's how divided we are, how we hate one another, how there's this need to constantly prove I'm right and you're wrong and you're dumb for being this wrong. And then people come here and they actually see, no, we're actually a great people, and we like I said earlier, how we kind of yearn for having this connection. And you can see it with different countries too, as they kind of join in, and people tailgating and doing it together and supporting one another in the stands. It's fantastic, and I've seen I'm sure a lot of the social media clips that you've probably been privy to, like the Japanese finding out how good the barbecue in Texas is. The Scots, how they drank the bars dry of Sam's Adams Lager in Boston. How the Europeans absolutely love ranch dressing because they don't have it there. So there's things like that, but really just taking in just how amazing this country is. And I think it's a little bit of a awakening for us here as Americans too. I mean, I feel it, this place is pretty awesome. That you got this place. It's a melting pot. We have strength in our diversity and different ideologies, different backgrounds. That's a strength of ours, and we can create this beautiful mosaic that we have in this country. So for other people from other countries to come in here and experience that and really get a sense of, wow, Americans, you guys are great hosts. You're friendly. You see the similarities that we possess, and if there's any differences, it's not something that we're going to hold against people. Actually, we're going to celebrate it and respect and recognize those differences in a good way. So I think it's just been such a positive for people from around the world to experience America for what we really are. And honestly, I think it's great for Americans, to, like I said, it's a little bit of awakening. Like, what, we got it pretty good here, and we're way more connected than what people in the media or otherwise are saying.
Yeah, and I love the examples that you gave. There was also something I think they said about what it was maybe the Japanese down in Texas, how, the free chips and salsa, and they kept asking how much it costs because they didn't understand that you don't pay for it, that you just get it. But I mean, that to me, and I love that you gave so many examples. We're learning about each other, and we look at like how simplistic this is, like free chips and salsa, ranch dressing. I think there was a video I saw of down in Texas as people were coming in Texas. They had a bunch of people riding on horses that were like up against the road, kind of welcoming everybody in. So, I mean, it kind of gets me choked up a little bit, Neel, that I feel like America has an opportunity and the rest of the world has an opportunity through the World Cup to show who we truly are and not who people say we are. And I find that to be such a pleasant and underbelly of this World Cup. But I want to make sure that we put this in the front of the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, the soccer's been terrific, right? The drama, especially now that we're getting to the knockout games, you're seeing these stars really shine, like Kylian Mbappe, Lionel Messi, Erling Haaland. You're seeing the quality on the pitch. Obviously, a couple teams that have been knocked out already, like Holland, like Germany. You're seeing how some of these countries that perhaps aren't powerhouses in the past and how they're being able to do well. Africa had 10 countries in this World Cup, 9 of whom have advanced to the knockout rounds. Seeing some of these smaller countries like Cape Verde, like what an amazing story. Here's this tiny country in West Africa that now is going to be playing in the round of 32 against Argentina. So, of course, the soccer, that angle has been fantastic. But then just the people stories, the connections, all like the stuff that you're mentioning too. And it's something that only I feel like the World Cup can bring. That energy, the way for people to come together. It revolves around the game, but in many ways and aspects, it's bigger than that. And the way that you're seeing it played out in the streets and the stadiums, how people are just feeling this sense of connection and being a part of this worldwide community, temporarily for 39 days in North America. It is pretty heartwarming to see it all in and see those pictures.
Yeah, and as we're here with Neel Bhattacharjee, Binghamton women's soccer head coach, and on the road in the World Cup here in the 2026 FIFA World Cup on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in this Bearcat Breakroom in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University here inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. You being around the German fans and the fans of, and we lost Neel again. We'll try and get Neel back. Again, he is on the road in Boston area, Massachusetts area. I want to remind people that if you don't know, ladies and gentlemen, because I've driven on the Massachusetts Turnpike and I've been in different parts of Massachusetts and the Northeast, there are dips in signal here. So we got Neel back on, but Neel, for you specifically, seeing the fans from Germany and Paraguay, these fans that have traveled from their home country, as well as people living in America that have German roots and, Paraguayan roots as well. What bring me into those fan bases and how you experience, maybe how you would describe the fans of Germany and Paraguay and what it was like to hear the sights, to see the sights and hear the sounds of their match with these two representative countries that were in the round of 32 game that you were at.
Yeah, so again, just the sense of national pride, and then what it just means to them. And last night I was watching this one gentleman on the James Corden show, and he owned a Paraguayan fan, and he almost lost his father last year to a heart attack. And his father and he were able to watch the game today and what it meant for them. Like, he almost lost his dad, but now they're able to take him one of these high points in life, and he was talking about what it just meant to them as a country, but specifically to them as a family and individually. So you can feel that sense of respective pride that they have, and for the Germans, you can see that pride, and then you can see certainly the anguish, too, on the other end. And this is they haven't won a knockout round since 2014, which is crazy to say about Germany. They won the World Cup in 2014. They've won it multiple times, and now they've gone a few World Cups without having advanced. So kind of what it means to them, and you could just see the emotion on both ends. But so much of this, it is deeply tied to what their how they feel about their nation, and it does have deep connections to their family. And even for me, I don't have, German or Paraguayan heritage, but, I could tell you the last time I went to a World Cup was with my father in 1994. And the joy that we had watching those games together at, it was called Giant Stadium then. And I lost my dad. It's been about 3.5 years now, but, now just the kind of how it kind of rekindles those memories that I had with my own dad, in terms of being able to experience those games and bringing those warm memories back. So for so many people, it has those deep feelings and connections in terms of what it means for them personally, and then what it means respective to their own national pride and identity.
Well, and I definitely. I know you said about 3.5 years, but, I send positivity and love up to Dad in heaven, and of course to you and your loved ones here on earth. And I'd love to know from what you remember the most about going to the World Cup with your dad. So first, what do you remember of that moment? And secondly, how did you in your own way bring him to the match that you just went to?
Yeah, so I remember the games we went to. I was able to go to 4 games in 1994. I remember one of the games was West Germany versus Bulgaria, and ended up being a big upset again then. So Bulgaria ended up winning the game 2-1 over West Germany, and Bulgaria had a terrific player by the name of Hristo Stoichkov, and I remember my dad was chanting his name because he had an absolute banger of a free kick goal that ended up winning the game for Bulgaria. And again, just the same type of joy and feeling that I'm experiencing now, I had it back then with my dad. That excitement, walking into the stadium and get to enjoy it with my father. And last night, I like I said, just kind of rekindled those memories. He was definitely deep in my heart and thoughts as I was walking into the stadium. This time without him, but very much there in my memory and spirit. And I know he would have loved being there at the game with me yesterday, but in many ways, he was there, with me, in terms of being there, deep within my soul as I was partaking and watching the game. So, it's just, these are types of things that kind of come out and just kind of what the joy and memories that only an event that the World Cup can bring.
Yeah, like you said, being in good company and being able to celebrate these moments, and like you said, not having German descent or Paraguayan descent, but hearing the story of someone who almost lost their father and getting to watch the World Cup with them, and then you having the opportunity to do that as well. These memories being made, and the beauty of all of this. You have another memory to make coming up here. Brazil made it through. I was in a local restaurant in central New York yesterday, experiencing the Brazilian fans that went down 1-0 to Japan, then tied it, then took the lead, and ultimately won. Brazil is another one of those historic powerhouses. Like when you think of Germany, you think there's certain countries you expect to be there potentially at the end of all things, one of those being Brazil. So when you look at what Brazil was able to do to move forward, and then we look to the actual, breakdown of what it's going to be, and knowing that Brazil will play the winner of the Ivory Coast up against Norway. I don't know if you know this, but I have had 2 dark horses from the group stages to now. Those 2 dark horses, the Ivory Coast and Morocco. Morocco proved me right to go to the round of 16 last night. The Ivory Coast will look to do it against Norway. Knowing that you're going to see Brazil, no matter what, that's huge. And then knowing that Norway or the Ivory Coast will be the one that is going up against them, I'm believing that you're going to arguably see, in my opinion, you will see one of the best games of the round of 16. What are you looking forward to, as we know that Brazil will face either Norway, who had a great group stage with France in their group, or seeing the Ivory Coast, who my dark horse has lived to play another day?
Yeah, I'm so excited to see Brazil. I've never seen Brazil in a World Cup. I have seen them live before, but not in a World Cup match. So that's going to be exciting. Obviously, a very passionate fan base, and they travel very well. So I know there's going to be a sea of yellow at MetLife. So looking forward to that and experience that, and seeing the people dance the samba in the stands and all of that, and terrific players there. Players like Casemiro, Vinicius Jr., another Real Madrid player, and how exciting he is. Allison, one of my favorite goalkeepers from Liverpool. So you're going to see.
Now we might have lost Neel again. Let's see here if we can bring him back in. So talking about the upcoming match that he's going to see at MetLife between Brazil and the winner of Norway and the Ivory Coast, the Côte d'Ivoire, so to speak. So we will definitely, and I apologize for that. I'm not known to say or ah, and I don't know why that one got out of me, but I notice it because it's not part of my life. So I do apologize for that one. As we look to get Neel back, we're going to spend a couple more minutes with him, and as he travels from Boston toward, I would imagine, either coming back Binghamton way or going straight to the New York, New Jersey area for MetLife with the upcoming match that's going to be in the round of 16 that we're currently talking about. The ebb and flow, the dipping of the signal on the Massachusetts Turnpike, be it the Garden State Parkway or, going through. I would say that the New York State Thruway is pretty good about keeping the phone. I don't think that I've had too much issue there when it comes to that, but sometimes it comes and goes. So we have Neel back here with us. Neel, you were talking about the upcoming matchup and a little bit about Brazil, and then getting into who they may face between Norway and the Ivory Coast.
Yeah, so I think, it's going to be a great matchup. We'll find out here shortly who's going to be advancing from that Norway-Ivory Coast game. If it's Norway, obviously they got one of the top forwards in the world in Erling Haaland. I get to see him pretty regularly when I follow Man City, watching Premier League games every week. And then Ivory Coast, you mentioned as a dark horse. I think they are a great pick for a dark horse. They show the quality that they have during the group stage. So I think that's going to be a pretty fun, entertaining game, and certainly going to be a very tough opponent for Brazil. I mean, Brazil had to give everything against Japan to pull out that win at the last minute in extra time yesterday, and they'll have another tough matchup pending whoever advances through. And I will say, you mentioned the another one of your dark horses is Morocco. Yeah. I got to tell you, Dan, I don't know if we can call them a dark horse anymore. They looked very good against Holland yesterday. And I thought Morocco was very impressive against Brazil in the first group stage game. I thought their midfield overran Brazil in that match. It's not very often that you can say that. So Morocco, a team that, they were semifinalists in the last World Cup. They could get that far again this year and maybe even further. So, yeah, I think you got some great picks as far as some teams that could do really well here these next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm excited. So before we get into rapid fire with Neel Bhattacharjee, I have one question for you. You said that you and I were going to try and go to a game together. So are you smuggling me into MetLife, or what are we doing?
We'll see. Let me see what I can do as far as connections, or maybe if you could fit into a backpack, or we'll see. But yeah, it's been a fun experience so far, and if we can find a way, let's do it.
So Neel Bhattacharjee, you get to ask me some questions here. We'll go back and forth. What's your first rapid fire for me?
In terms of teams that you've seen here at the World Cup, what would you say has been your biggest surprise? Either quality play or otherwise, biggest surprise team.
Oh, man, I would have to. I mean, I think you mentioning the fact that we have 10 African teams and 9 of them that were able to advance forward. I thought that was amazing. I think South Africa for me. I mean, I'm happy for Canada. And I'm happy they got to move forward. I don't like that it was against South Africa, but I would say maybe some of besides the fact of the amount of teams that move forward from South Africa, I would probably say I there's a lot of different things that I've looked at, and I mean, I already mentioned Morocco, and I mentioned the Ivory Coast, and my pride in them and my excitement for them. I would say, Ecuador. Ecuador has been a surprise for me. I would say, Ecuador making it through. I think, in the group stage, pulling off a juggernaut victory. That really spoke to me what Ecuador was able to do. So I think that I would have to definitely go to that and say that, they were one of those teams that I don't think people anticipated were going to maybe have, a high octane victory, maybe not even make it to the next round. So I think what they've shown us was really, really, really huge. And I would say that they're probably getting a win over Germany. That stuck out to me, especially doing it in the 11th hour. I would say besides that, I've been really kind of moved by Egypt. I know that, Belgium was able to get ahead of them in Group G, but I think, Egypt leading the way for a while. And then you mentioned, Cape Verde. I mean, to be the smallest country that has advanced forward, and I believe doing it in their first World Cup, to be where they are right now, I think that has been a fantastic story. Austria and Algeria, them having the last game of the group stages, and I was out to dinner, and I literally said in extra time, I know somebody's going to win this 3-2. Like, I know it's not going to end in a tie. So I think seeing how well they went up against each other, and then one of the teams that I think was left for dead, the Congo DR, making it into the knockout stages as well. And a team that caught my eye years ago, and I have a friend that comes from the country, is that, Ghana held serve and did what they did. So I think there's a lot that stick out to me. But if I had to really, say who are the ones that I'm most surprised made it into the next round in a great way, I'd probably say the Congo DR, and then seeing Ecuador beat Germany was huge.
Yeah, great picks, great picks.
My question to you, who has been the biggest surprise to you positively, and then the biggest kind of surprise in a underwhelming way? So who's been the biggest positive surprise, and who's been the biggest surprise where you thought they'd do a lot better?
All right, I'd say underwhelming, probably Uruguay.
Okay.
I expected more from them. Rich history. I love their coach Bielsa, but they just couldn't find a way in terms of really connecting on the field for whatever reason in this tournament. And I'd probably have to say Germany too. That's a team that I know last time we spoke, we talked about some of the issues going on with Italy, with them not having qualified for their third World Cup in a row, and now Germany, they are this juggernaut. They won it in 2014, and now they haven't even won a knockout round in 12 years now. So disappointing there. And even watching the game yesterday, they did really well to keep the ball, getting into the attacking half, their final third, but then just weren't really inventive. They didn't have players that could break down a low block, or that special talent like a Vinny Jr. or like a Messi or Haaland that could beat people 1v1. So I think there's going to be a little bit of a reckoning in terms of, okay, what are we doing here in Germany as far as putting us back in terms of truly being the elite, because you always knew top three, top four, that they were going to be there. Now they've kind of fallen off that porch a bit. So, here's where next steps would be. I'd say biggest surprise, I would say, I would put Cape Verde up there. And, I wasn't a big fan of how this tournament expanded to 48 teams. I thought that 32 team number was great. But that they expanded out, and I thought it was going to really dilute things. And I think you've seen some of that. You've seen a couple blowouts, but then you also get the story of Cape Verde and what they're doing. And then the other one I'm going to say positive, maybe this is me being a homer, but just seeing how well the U.S. is doing. I think Pochettino's done a terrific job. I mean, they absolutely crushed it in the first half against Paraguay and also against Australia. I don't think there's much to look at in terms of the third game against Turkey. But they've got this nation excited. They've got this nation believing. So seeing that, it's terrific to see our players and how well that they gelled and representing our country. And I'm excited for the game against Bosnia tomorrow night. So I'd say I'm not going to say it's a surprise that they're in the round of 32, but it is a little bit of a surprise in terms of how well they're doing it and how good they look. And hopefully it's something that can continue tomorrow night, and hopefully they can advance through and keep it going.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate the picks and the breakdown of it. You got one more rapid fire. What is it, Neel?
Is there a favorite moment that you have from the World Cup so far?
That's a good question. I would say, honestly, so I was in New Jersey when the United States was playing Turkey, and I was watching. I mean, I was at a place that I had never been before, and there was the World Cup games on, but then there was other things on, and when America was getting ready to play, every single television flipped to America, and just being in that element, in that moment, being with, surrounded by a bunch of strangers, seeing how closely people were watching it. I think, my favorite moment being out in public so far would be the United States versus Turkey. And despite the loss, just seeing how the room morphed into it's all about America, and then seeing the fans that came out. I would also say, seeing Colombian fans get excited and do a similar thing when I was out, a couple nights after that. But as far as watching the games, and what I would say is, some of the great moments, honestly, it's some of the goals that were scored where you just see some of the stop. I mean, one of the stops yesterday, and I'm going to forget the player, but just seeing how they try to go off the side of their foot, and then it luckily for, the goalkeeper goes into their shin and bounces out. I mean, some of the saves that have happened, and then seeing a cross come in and having a player, everybody's bunched up and then a player's wide open to just kind of tap this thing in. I think watching some of the goals, seeing some of those moments, regardless of who it was, just how some goals have been wide open, how some goalkeepers have just been insanely, superhuman. But then I would say for me, my favorite moments have been going out and seeing the pride, be it in the United States, being in another country like Colombia, just watching that side of it. And then, like I said, watching a sports bar completely morph into America's coming on. So if you want to watch America, great. If you don't, then you can go home. I loved seeing how that entire room, and then even the room outside, just turned into, it's the United States. This is what we're doing for the next 3 hours. I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I would say my question back to you, going off of what I said, favorite goal so far, and then favorite goalkeeper knockaway, favorite save and favorite goal up to this point.
Favorite save, Verbruggen yesterday for Holland against Morocco.
Okay.
It was 1-1. Morocco had a great chance. Ford makes a couple of great moves inside the box. He's inside the 6, releases a shot. I stood up to cheer for the goal, and then I didn't see the goal net move. And I'm like, wait, what?
No, we may have lost Neel again. Let's see here. Hopefully we didn't.
Went off his hand.
Yeah. We lost you for a second, so you said you stood up. And then we did lose him. So yeah, once again, in the travels here as we try to get Neel on the line. We know that he is traveling through. So, Neel, you said you stood up for the goal, and then what happened?
So I was expecting, the goal to be scored. Then I didn't see the goal net move. And the Dutch goalkeeper stuck out his right leg, his right knee, blocked the shot, and then it went off his right hand for a save. I couldn't see it in real time. It happened so quick and then I saw the replay. I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's got to be one of the most insane saves I've ever seen. That kind of reaction from that close. And then I would say favorite goal, honestly, I would say probably Gio Reyna. Because he hit it with the outside of his right foot, and it was this curling, bending ball around the Paraguay goalkeeper. And it didn't mean much in the context of the game. It was 3-1 that made it 4-1 at the very end of the match. But just the quality that they had, and that it did make a statement though of how dominant the U.S. was in that game. And then and I was happy for Gio Reyna too. That's a kid that grew up in New York, had some difficulties in the last World Cup that ended up becoming public. But for him to come back and have that moment, and to do it with the quality and the flair, that I got to say that's probably the most memorable goal, both in terms of quality and what it meant.
That coming here from Neel Bhattacharjee, Binghamton women's soccer head coach. They're going to get into it very soon here, but not before he continues on his road of seeing the World Cup up close and personal in this Bearcat Breakroom, sharing some time with Neel and making the World Cup come to life in an even bigger way. Neel, I appreciate you letting us be a part of your travels and being on the phone with us today. I know God is great because we planned on having this conversation no matter how that game rounded out. And so to have you come off an instant classic and get to do this is really something special. And I'm sure that this Brazil game coming up against the Ivory Coast or Norway is going to be yet another one. So make sure you got a big backpack. Let me know. I fit into small spaces, so I'll figure it out. But, I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate our professional relationship and connection. And I love the fact that you got to let us bring the World Cup to life here on the show today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dan, always appreciate the time. Of course, always appreciate you. And thanks for having me on. And let's just have some more fun watching this World Cup and this event over the course of the next few weeks.
Absolutely. And the games continue to be great today. So don't miss a moment of it, folks. And Neel, safe travels. And I'll look forward to talking with you soon.
All right. Thanks so much, my friend.
All right. Take care. See you. Bye. That coming once again from Neel Bhattacharjee here on the phone with us as he is in his travels going from one game inside of the World Cup to another. And I mean, of all games for him to pick, right? Of all games for him to be able to go to, Germany and Paraguay ending on penalty kicks 4-3 after two halves and two extra periods to go into penalties and see Paraguay pull off a victory over Germany. And now he is going to be heading to see the upcoming game that will be between Brazil and the winner of whoever comes out of this Ivory Coast-Norway matchup, which is going to be a massive matchup that we will have the blessing and opportunity of seeing today at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So a lot of great stuff, and that was truly a very unique Bearcat Breakroom with the head coach of the Binghamton Bearcats women's soccer program, coming off a fantastic season, and now Neel getting to enjoy the World Cup before he gets into the 2026 campaign. So with that being said, we've not taken a step aside here on the show. We've been on the broadcast for almost 2 hours and have not taken one fast break. Under promise, over deliver. So let's do that right now. You got to hear from the wonderful companies we have the blessing of working with, and we'll be back right after this inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studio. Stay with us. Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food tastes delicious, but is definitely our priority. But it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Brian and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Brian and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Brian's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Brian's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Life gets busy, and sometimes that means us running around. So Canine Camp Dog Daycare offers you an opportunity to give your dog a place to stay while you take care of what you need to throughout the day. Canine Camp Dog Daycare is located on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, New York. You can see it from the highway, and it's just off of Erie Boulevard across from BJ's Wholesale Club. Call 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110 to schedule an appointment to bring your dog in and tour the facility. Appointments are Monday through Thursday after 6:30, where you and your dog can see everything that Canine Camp Dog Daycare has to offer, including a self-serve dog wash and a retail store filled with all of your dog's wants and needs, including food, treats, harnesses, leashes, and more, making Canine Camp Dog Daycare your one-stop shop for your furry-loving friend. Right, Lily? In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily, and we bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Hi, this is Chris Rauda.
And Colleen Rakowski from Gray's Craze of Clay.
It's a fun, innovative, upscale catering solution. We've turned eating into a whole new experience. Each of our boards is packed with delicious mix of artisan cheeses. We use premium cured meats, fresh fruits, nuts, and all of the sweet touches that really bring out the best in every perfect bite.
We offer something as small as a grab and go that feeds one, maybe two people, to our large board that can serve anywhere up to 25, 28 people. So we have the ability to really meet and hopefully exceed all of our customers' expectations when it comes to the different varieties of things that we have.
Charcuterie boards or boxes are healthy, fresh, delicious. They're made to order. We're baking the breads here daily. We're baking the cookies here daily. All of our dips are homemade, made in-house. All of our spreads are all made in-house.
When you open that board or box that we have delivered or you have picked up, we want you to know that it was made with care and designed to completely elevate your event, celebration, or meeting.
We've catered parties and events for up to 300 people. So if you're walking in to grab something for lunch or something for date night or movie night, that's great too. Our events go from you eating in the car on the way home to a catering event in a rehearsal dinner or cocktail hour or party. When we do, again, know what the event is, specifically for a wedding, we like to schedule tastings so the bride and groom can come in and see what we have to offer, and we can then, as we talk, to try to understand what they're looking for, what the venue's like. We do like to have that one-on-one interaction when it comes to catering bigger events. Our address is 4599 State Route 31, Suite 5, in Clay, New York. We're on the corner of Route 31 and Henry Clay at Clay Marketplace. You can order on the phone by calling area code 315-409-4171 or online at grayscraze.com/clay-ny. Come visit us at Gray's Craze of Clay, New York, where we want you to celebrate everything.
Hey everybody, this is Rockney Roberts from Willow Rock Brewing Company. We are here in Cicero at the Willow Rock Pizza Pub.
And I'm Kevin Williams, also from Willow Rock Brewing Company. Happy to be here and happy to be partnering with CNS and Dan Tortora.
You want some place where you can feel comfortable and hopefully ingratiate yourself with the community. And Kevin, he grew up right down the road from here. I grew up in Brewerton, so not too far away. We know the area, we know the people, they're great, and we were just really excited to be able to come to the area.
Yeah, and having the opportunity to meet some of these coaches, some of the people in general already, and seeing the CNS colors kind of around, and already partnering on a smaller level with individual teams really made this make sense to us to really formalize kind of a partnership with the school and get this rolling.
You know, Willow Rock to me has always been about high quality beverages, high quality experiences, and now high quality food in our pizza pub. You know, that was something new for us when we came to Cicero. Right from the drop, we knew we were going to have a focus on the highest quality food to go with our high quality beer. At the Willow Rock Pizza Pub, you're getting high quality, hand cut, top-notch ingredients. We're open for lunch. That's a really important thing for us, is to be able to get that person in here like, hey, you only got 30 minutes for lunch, but we're gonna have something for you that you can get quickly and available to everybody.
Yeah, we wanted something that was just a little bit outside the box, a little bit outside of comfort zone, but still something that you could rely on to be consistent and easy to look at and easy to be like, oh, I can see myself eating this. I can see myself wanting to have that more than once. Eating a whole pizza like our beef on weck pizza, I've never seen one anywhere. It's just a great ideas, great inspiration across the board. We're their spot to stop. We're their friendly neighborhood watering hole, as well as pizza place and place to stop for a restaurant. Not just beer drinkers here. We've got wines, we got cocktails, we got non-alcoholic stuff for the kids.
The location is more important today than it ever has been before, and we're lucky enough to be here in Cicero. The Willow Rock Pizza Pub is a place where you can bring your family. You can come in, you can grab a soda, you can relax. You can come after a game, before a game, your parents, your grandparents. Our goal is to make sure that everyone's comfortable here. We want students, we want athletes, we want your coaches. It's going to be a good time. So come here, enjoy the high quality food, high quality beverage that we're going to offer to everybody. And hey, go North Stars.
We're so happy to have the North Stars. We are very much a kid-friendly establishment. We have tons of space outside for everybody to be playing outside, as well as listening to live music, enjoying some pizza.
The Willow Rock Pizza Pub is open 6 days a week here in Cicero. That is Tuesday through Sunday. And our website is willowrockbrew.com, and our socials are at Willow Rock Brew. So find us on the net, find us in person. We'll see you soon.
Hi, this is Gina Husted. I'm part owner of Skippy's Ice Cream. The other half is my better half, Don Husted Jr. When somebody comes up to the truck and it's a family, it's nice that the older generation is nostalgic and they can tell the younger generation, back in my day, we used to have the truck around our neighborhood. So now you're lucky because the truck can come to your party, and you're lucky that this truck is at a festival and you're getting to buy the ice cream. And basically we're ice cream that comes to you now, specifically comes to you, not for you waiting for us, we're coming to you. We will do neighborhoods if you have a block party. We do birthdays, we do anniversaries, we do celebrations of life, we do wedding showers, we do festivals, we'll do corporate events, we have a lot of corporate picnics, we have family reunions, so it's a whole wide range of whatever party you have, we'd love to be at. We're so appreciative of the community, always coming up to us at festivals and calling us to have different events. We have a lot of return customers. We always have people coming up to our truck. We're always there for the community. We always try to give back to different organizations and fundraisers, and so I think the community sees that. We like to give back to them. This is where we live. This is where we were raised. This is where our kids were raised. So the community is very special to us. I mean, obviously we've lived here our whole lives, so it means a lot that they come up to our truck and that they choose us, because we're just there to please the community and deal with as many people as we can in this community, because this is, like I said, where we were born and raised. If you'd like to get in touch with Skippy's Ice Cream and have us at your next event, I would suggest using our email, skipthecake, SKIPTAGCAKE, skipthecake@gmail.com. That's the fastest way to get a hold of us. It's the easiest way to get a hold of us, and that's going to get the fastest response. response from us. If you choose to call, if you don't have an email, then you can call 315-456-9750 and we'll be glad to get back to you as soon as we can. Skippy's Ice Cream, the original ice cream truck.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. Happy to be here with you Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and of course beyond 11 a.m. more often than not. So thanks for being here with me, and thanks for hanging out inside these Great Lakes Honda City studios. Great Lakes Honda City is on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. They are open for sales and service Monday through Saturday, and all the time online. They're there for you at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. It's time for our final portion of today's broadcast, and that brings us into how we finish every Tuesday with the ingredients to success, proudly presented by the wonderful team at Avicolli's. Head out to Avicolli's today and 7 days a week. So you pick the day you want to go out there for lunch, dinner, and drinks. Of course, if you're going to drink, drink responsibly, and only if you are of age. So make sure you head out to Avicolli's today for their fantastic food. They, of course, have their grandma's pie, their margarita pizza, barbecue chicken pizza, their wings, as well as the tortellini that I love. I put chicken on the tortellini. You can put shrimp on that tortellini, their garlic knots, everything that they have to offer. The Italian wedding soup. Avicolli's is one of the best places that Central and Upstate New York can showcase to anybody coming in, as well as those that live in the community. They've been with us for decades, and I would love for you to head over there today. So make sure you go to 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road to get yourself some Avicolli's. And they have their fine dining side, they have their casual pizza side, as well as their outdoor dining with this beautiful weather, and their bar. You can also call Avicolli's for catering, takeout, and delivery at 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100 to get in touch with Avicolli's. Time for the ingredients to success. The topic this week, a cheerful heart. What do I mean by that? Well, folks, you'd hear me talk about all the time leading with a pure heart and good intention, right? Making sure that everything you do it with a pure heart and do it with good intention, right? And that's important. The purity of your heart, right? The purity of why you're doing what you're doing, why you're choosing to do it, your intentions being good, your care and your concern, right? Because they say if things don't work out in your life, but you did it with a pure heart and good intention, it'll eventually come back. If it doesn't work out with what you think is going to work out, it'll work out somewhere else. But that's not why I do it. I don't do things with a pure heart and good intention so that things can work out. I do things with a pure heart and good intention so that I know no matter what happens, that I did everything I could. You know, my dad told me a long time ago, people are going to say and do what they want to say and do. Don't ever give them a reason for it to be negative toward you. They can make it up, but don't give them a reason. If you lead with a pure heart and good intentions, you're never going to give somebody a reason, a viable, factual, rational reason to say no or to do something negative toward you. Things are going to happen in life. But if you lead with a pure heart and good intention, you don't have anything to apologize for, to, think over and go over in your head, because you know that you did it with goodness inside of you, and you know that you did it with morality and virtue. And I think that all of that is important. I think we overcomplicate the world. We overcomplicate our lives instead of just saying, you know what? I'm going to give all I can, and I'm going to do it where I can sleep at night. I didn't cut corners. I didn't lie, cheat, and steal. I didn't step on anybody's neck. I did this with a pure heart. And I did it with my intentions always being good. And if you're honest with yourself, you know when you're doing that and you know when you're not. And it's never too late to do it the right way if you're doing it the wrong way. doing it without a pure heart or good intention. There's always time to change and make sure you do it. Do that. So what do I mean about a cheerful heart? It means that we're all going to go through stuff in life. We're all going to have tough moments. But how are we going to spend the next moment? None of us are going to go through life unscathed. None of us are going to go through life without some type of pain, frustration, suffering, whatever you want to call it. We're going to go through it. It's going to happen. Doesn't matter how much money you have. Doesn't matter, how much power you have. We're all going to go through something difficult. And it's how we navigate. So when I say have a cheerful heart, what I mean is no matter what's going on in your life, be excited for what's to come. Be excited for what is. Live in the moment. Be in the moment. One of the hardest things that I've ever had to teach myself and actually stick with, and I could be better at it every day, I know that, is to live in the moment. To be right here. And my dad tells me all the time, don't live in the past. You can't change it. It's over. Learn from it, but don't live there. You're going to miss everything that's in front of you. You're going to waste opportunity. You're going to lose opportunity if you focus on everything that happened before. There's something to be said about not hanging out with the snakes of your past, but learning from the skin that was shed. To not chase the snake and hang out with the snake, but to learn from the skin that was shed. And when the skin is shed, it's dead. It's no longer a part of it. We have to shed our skin sometimes. Shed what was. You have to. We all have baggage. We all have things that were said to us that hurt, things that were done to us that hurt. Maybe something we did or said that we regret or we don't like. But you have to come to a point in your life where you shed the skin. Think about that. Why would you want to live in a moment? Would anybody want to be suffocated? No. Would you want to go back to a moment where you're being suffocated? If you ever felt like you were going to drown, would you want to go back to the moment of when you felt like you were drowning? If you've ever, been in a building that caught on fire and you got away from the fire, would you willingly go back into it? It's common sense stuff. We don't want to get burned. We don't want to suffocate. We don't want to drown. But when we go back to the past pain that we have, that's exactly what we're doing. Call it what you want to call it, but you're burning yourself again. You're drowning yourself again. You're suffocating yourself again. You're torturing yourself. Because you're going back to a place of pain, and it's also a place that you cannot alter. And that, it's funny because I have these great memories growing up as a kid. So if I had a choice of going back to a great memory growing up as a kid or to like a terrible thing that happened to me, why would I choose to go to the latter? Why would I say, let me not go to Disney with my mom and my dad and remember, falling asleep on my dad's shoulders. Let me go back to this time where I was having an argument with somebody and they said something that really hurt. For human beings, and I don't know if it's the way our brain's wired and we have to rewire it, maybe it's one of God's ultimate tests, but our brain will focus on the negative. Our brain will not focus on the fact that we just drove for 47 days in a row and didn't have anybody cut us off. Our brain will think about the fact that we just got cut off today. Somebody cut me off today, and you'll think about today. You got to let it go. I am a firm believer because I've lived it. I am a firm believer that you get what you focus on. You get what you focus on. And some people say, Dan, I've been focusing on positive stuff for so many years and I still haven't gotten it yet. Keep focusing on it. The devil's lie is that you take your focus off. Because not everything comes when you want it to come. When I opened my company at 26 years old, do you think I was making money or losing money? Do you think that I had a comma in my bank account or didn't have a comma in my bank account? You don't get to 13 plus years owning a business if you don't get through year 1 and 2 and 3 all the way up to that. You have to go through the process. You have to go through the time. You have to learn. You have to grow. You have to ad-lib. You have to be willing to deliver on promises that you've made to yourself, to others. You have to evolve as a human being. We look at life sometimes and say, well, I'm a nice person. I'm nice to people, so nice things are going to happen for me. Yeah. But other things will happen too. People will take advantage of you. People will underestimate your niceness for weakness. But it's what you focus on. Because if you focus on, if you meet a beautiful, wonderful soul, man or woman, and you think about all the people before them that broke your heart and lied to you and cheated on you and hurt you and wasted your time, no matter how good that person is that's here right now, they can't compete with your past. You have to let your past go. You have to. You go to a job and the last 3 bosses lied to you, never gave you a promotion, you never felt appreciated. You're going to be shaking with anxiety every single day if you think that this boss is going to turn into that as well. It's hard to unlearn survival mode. And at some point in our lives, I think we're all going to be in it. And it's hard to unlearn it. And sometimes you unlearn it 80%. And then it takes 5 years to unlearn the other 20. Sometimes it's back and forth. But if you've been cheated on, lied to, left, disparaged, made fun of, if you've been abused in any way, shape, or form, if you've been manipulated, I'm here to tell you that you're going to have to navigate through that. Nobody goes through life without scars. And I go back to that line that Harrison Ford says to Jason Segel in the show that I absolutely love, which is on Apple TV Plus, and it's called Shrinking. And I want to read this to you. About scars. So Paul and Jimmy, Paul is played by Harrison Ford, Jimmy is played by Jason Segel. And Paul says, letting go of the past just means not allowing yourself to be held back by your scars anymore. I've got a blank ton of them. Jimmy says, I'm covered in them, Paul. And Paul says, good. What a shame to be 42 years of age and not be completely covered in scars. They're the evidence of a life fully lived. Perspective. Life is about perspective. Scars can be viewed as a bad thing, or they can be viewed as a life fully lived. If you walk on flat ground with no rocks, no unevenness, you're not going to have any scars. It's those of us that choose to climb mountains, go up ravines. We have scars because we've chosen to live. There are people that just want flat ground for the rest of their lives. But then what about their perspective? If you live on flat ground at all times, yeah, your life may be easy or perceived as easy, but your view will never change. You will always stay on the ground level. Some people just want flat ground so that it's easy, but they don't think about the fact that if I don't climb this mountain, I'm never going to see more. I'm never going to advance more. And that's why a lot of people settle. I just want it to be easy. I just want it to be calm. I just want to not deal with problems. So flat ground, that's a job that you got that you don't really like, but it pays the bills. Flat ground, that's a relationship where you're not really in love, but they're pretty okay, and you get by. You live on flat ground when this isn't the house I want, in the city I want, in the state I want, maybe not even in the country I want, but I can afford it, and it's all right. Some people are okay with all right to a certain extent. Because whether people admit it or not, a lot of people are unhappy in this world because they've settled for flat ground. They saw the flat ground and they said, I will get no scars walking on this flat ground. And I would disagree that scars will find you wherever you're at, because God will teach you wherever you're at. And if he's not where you want, if you're not where he wants you to be, he will come find you. So one, I don't think flat ground prevents scars, but two, it prevents life from really happening. When a plant grows to the point where its roots have started to push through, there's times where a plant will tell you, I've outgrown this. I have to go somewhere else. I have to challenge myself. A lot of people in this world that complain, that belittle marriage, that belittle working, that belittle being a parent, I wonder where they settled. Because on my toughest day, I'm happy to be alive. When I'm sweating and I'm tired and I'm frustrated, I'm still happy that I get to be Lily's dad. I'm still happy I get to do what I love and love what I do. There have been so many things that have happened in the dreams that I've chased that are absolutely beautiful. And I wake up to do it every day. But you think that comes without stress? You think it comes without weight? You think it comes without sweat? You think it comes without grit? You think it comes without literally sitting here saying, I had this conversation 217 times. Why do I have to have it again? People see me do what I love and love what I do, and they know how passionate I am, and they might perceive that as I have an easy life. That it just comes to me. That I don't have to go get anything. I waited 2.5 years to get a credential. I've gotten a credential from a place, done nothing to lose it after over a decade, and had it taken away from me in a disrespectful, ridiculous fashion that had no factual evidence, no logic, no rationale, no pure heart, no good intention, but it still happened, and I couldn't change it. I still can't. I've been laughed at and ridiculed by people that are old enough to be my parents. People that I've only respected. You see the man who travels the world. You see the man who gets to work with a ton of companies, gets his own sandwich, gets his own potato, gets his own ice cream. You see the man that interviews all these people that you would like to talk to. And I love my life. But you don't see everything behind that. You don't see the sleepless nights. You don't see the sweats. You don't see the confusion. You don't see the decisions of, do I stay in this state or do I go to another one? Do I live here or do I live there? Do I put my money here or do I put my money there? Do I choose to go here or do I choose to go there? You don't see a lot that goes into it. But you know what keeps me going? I have a cheerful heart. When I don't feel good, I show up. When I'm tired, I show up. When I have no energy and I know I'm going to find it because I trust God and I trust myself, I'm going to show up. It is easy in this world to give up. And that's where a lot of settling comes in. People who have simply just said, life's too hard, so I'm going to do the minimum. I'm going to get by. I'm not going to ruffle any feathers. And I'm just going to stay in the shadow. I'm going to live on flat ground. I will never climb a mountain, or I will never climb a mountain again. Coming from a man who climbed a mountain last year in Italy, I know that heaven exists. I know that what is said in the Bible is true. I know that butterflies communicate with people, which means life recognizes life. I know that a mantra that I've said to myself for years came true the day I climbed that mountain. I know that God helped me up that mountain. I know that prayers get answered. I know that God is the only water and food that I truly need. I know that even if I go hungry, I am never hungry. If I go thirsty, I am never thirsty. God showed me and has continued to show me. If you reach out to me and you think I don't hear you, or you think I don't answer you, or you think I don't care, look around you. I have always been here. I go back to the Bible. I have called you by name and you are mine. This world has so much beauty, and it is met with so many challenges. Perspective, focus, energy. Where do you put it? If you're a go-getter, you will always have people that are writing to you. Because if you are someone who people can trust, people can lean on, people can confide in, and people know, if I go to this person, I know it's going to get done, you will have emails, and you will have text messages, and you will have phone calls all the time. All the time. But you also have the right to say, you know what? I'm putting it all away, and I'm going to go sit and look at that water. I'm going to listen to the bird this morning that's outside my window. The bird that I can't stand waking me up. Well, today he's my best friend because of perspective. Because I'm going to change the way I see this. This bird could be singing a beautiful song trying to find their mate. This bird could be singing a beautiful song because they just had a child. This bird could be singing, hoping that their mate that they lost will find their way home, or their child that lost their way to the nest will find their way home. This bird could be singing in peril. This bird could be singing in great utopia. This bird could be outside my window saying to me, I'm alone. Will you sit with me? We don't know what the bird is saying. But perspective, that can change a lot. Right? This annoying bird outside my window wakes me up at 5 o'clock. Or this beautiful bird outside my window has an incredible song. I wonder what they're saying. When you have a cheerful heart, when you can get up, no matter how tired you are, how many people have used and abused you and tried your patience, when life is hard and you can have a cheerful heart, you will be okay. You can't sit on the couch and ask God to do it for you. Not even Jesus could do that. So why would you think you could? You cannot just simply say, well, God, if you exist, make everything better. You can pray. And you could say, God, please make everything better. Heal us. Help us to handle well whatever comes our way. May miracles continue to happen. Help us to be healthy, safe, happy, filled with all your most precious gifts, to do your will and be well. That today, tonight, and so on are long and fun and go by slowly. That our loved ones that have passed on are safe and sound, reunited with their loved ones in heaven and fully, completely with you. That we here on earth and wherever we are safe and sound with our loved ones. And we're with you, getting closer to them and you every day. And that we are always connected to our loved ones that have passed on, even in death, because dying, Jesus destroyed our death, and rising, he restored our life. That we're going to get a yes for what we're going after. That things are going to work out. We can say all of those things. But do you have a pure heart and good intention? Do you have a cheerful heart when you go about your life? Life is not about going through it unscathed, because that's impossible. Life is about when the scars come, what do we do with them? Do we look at them and think, ew, look at my body, I look gross. Oh my gosh, that scar reminds me of all the pain. Or does the scar show us that we've lived? Does the scar show us that we've made it through what we thought we couldn't? Do you know how many times in my life I thought I wasn't going to be okay? You know how many years have gone by with a lot of those moments? How many times I thought, I can't get past this, I can't grow past this, I will never be okay, I will never heal. Yet I'm here. If you are alive today and you've been through some type of pain, whatever it is, that should tell you that whatever's coming, you can handle. Because what you went through, you thought you couldn't, and you did. The best sign that you're going to be okay is that you're still here. You've made it this far not to make it this far. You've made it this far to keep going. And yeah, there might be people, places, and things that need you, but I'm not talking about that right now. You need you. You need you. Your body needs you to be good to it. Your mind needs you to be good to it. Your heart needs you to be good to it. Your soul needs you to know that the essence of you, no matter what happens to you, is preserved. Your light does not get dimmer because of the things that happen to you. Your light is consistent. Your light was given to you by God. You cannot shrink your light. You can try to hide it. You could try to minimize it. You could try to ignore it. But your light was given to you by God. And no matter how you try to cover it, it will always shine. So if you want to know today how you're going to be okay, the best answer I can say to you is God woke you up this morning, not to punch you in the face, not to suffocate you, not to drown you, not to set you on fire. God woke you up today because God knows that your story is far from over. We can be victims or we can be warriors. Both have scars. Which one will you choose to be? I thank you for being with us today here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for this edition of the Ingredients to Success, proudly presented by Avicolli, focusing on the importance of having a cheerful heart, being grateful for your life, grateful for your blessings, and having the warrior mentality and not the victim. The scars show that you have lived. The scars show that you care. And God is the Band-Aid. God is the Neosporin. God's the aloe. Let him come into your life. And may you be grateful to him for giving you that life. We'll take a step aside inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, and we'll be back to wrap up the show right after this. God bless your cheerful heart.
This is Jim Dispenza, owner of Game Point Sports Complex. You hear the same story across any sport that kids play and any sport that adults play. There's never enough places to play. That was definitely true with volleyball, definitely true with basketball. Could be cheerleading, it could be field hockey, which is what we're seeing now. Every sport has a lack of places to play, and I think Syracuse in particular is a place where it's really bad. Despite the fact that we've got a lot of athletic talent around here, we just seem to have not enough places for people to play, and they're going to different places. They're going to Rochester, they're going to, Buffalo. They're going all different places because we don't have a place here, and I felt like that should change. This was a long project from planning all the way through execution to opening doors. A lot of work went into it, obviously, a lot of money, a lot of resources, and the dream always was kids being in the gym, having a good time. And I've always felt like sports is the most unfiltered joy that you can observe with people that people can experience, because it is fun, it is a sense of accomplishment, it's all of that wrapped into one thing. And so watching kids going up and down the court with big smiles on their faces has been just amazing experience. I'm looking forward to years to come of that same thing. We've taken the time to invest in multiple sports, and then what we're finding is the mere fact that we have a large, clean, well-lit space has opened a lot more doors for us beyond basketball, volleyball, pickleball. Now we're having some interest from cheerleading. We've got girls field hockey coming in, and then also there's quite a bit of room for spectators. We've got bleachers, we've got benches, we've got a concession lounge where people can get food and drinks. We're going to have multiple sports going at the same time, using every square inch of this place for what it was conceived for, which is basically people to come in, have a good time in the sport that they prefer. We manage each situation differently. Everybody has different ability to afford different things. Some are bringing 10, 15 people, some are just 2 people. I've had a lot of situations where it's a father shooting around with his son, it's a mother playing pickleball with her daughter or with her son, and in those situations come up and we work with people, and that's allowed us to have groups from 2 people up to 30 people and have some flexible pricing behind it. We're an organization that is here to work with the community community any way we can. And I guess part of it is just making sure that we have the flexibility to put together a plan that makes sense regardless of the size of your group. So in order to book time, the best option is to go to our website, gamepointsports-syr.com. You can click from there and sign up for events, sign up for your own particular training, sign up for birthday parties, all of that.
And now a message from Myers Creek Brewing Company, with locations at their Cazenovia Farm Brewery, Syracuse Inner Harbor Tap Room, and soon-to-be Lake Placid Tap Room.
Well, I think first and foremost, the Feldmeyer family and our team are extremely passionate about what we do. We care very much about what we do. The Feldmeyer family is always investing. Our taproom management team, our brew management team, our marketing management team, and all of the team members that get after it every day, they leave it on the field. They put their heart and soul into it. I know for a fact that everyone that works at Myers Creek wants to be there, and we want them to be there. You know, we want them to feel good about their job. And again, if you've never been to a Myers Creek, especially to the brewery, I mean, I want your eyes to open really big. I want you to see how big of a brand this is. I want you to see where we're going. The sky is the limit, and I feel very proud of that, and I'm very excited about that. When you think of designing a menu for a brewery, it's kind of open to a lot of different interpretations. I mean, you can do American, you can do Asian, you can do Italian, and you just have to find, you know, how that meets that pub style dining experience, that gastropub vibe. And I think it's super fun for us because obviously we know that, you know, everyone in the world's going to sell a pizza or a burger or a french fry, but what can we do to be different? And what can we do to be true to who we are? We are a brewery, you know, a brew pub. So the flavor profiles are kind of all over the place, and I think it's super cool that we have a massive smoker at the brewery in Cazenovia, and we smoke a lot of our products. A delicious smoked turkey. We have barbecue ribs on Sundays. From a pulled pork sandwich to a chicken wing, and you go to the Inner Harbor and you go to the Caz location, and you'll find similarities in the menu, but also things that are a little different, and also kind of fit those different demographics or different communities, and also hopefully just drive you to try every tap room that we have open at some point, because you get a little something different at each one. You know, we understand how hard it is to, you know, work every day and get after it every day, and when you're done at the end of your day, you want to go out and put your feet up in a good ambiance and good environment. So we take pride in that. We make sure that everyone knows that they're very much valued to us.
Cat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. Head over to GG Cards and Breaks Tuesday through Saturday for 10 to 6, and on Sundays from 10 to 5. You get closer to the teams you love, the players you love, as well as to the games you love to play, and of course, all of those awesome characters connected to those games, be it Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, One Piece, Disney Lorcana, and more while supplies last. And of course, in the soccer, hockey, basketball, baseball, football world, wrestling world, you never know what you're going to find at GG Cards and Breaks. And if you say, hey, Dan, it's just a piece of cardboard, it's a memory. I have experienced it myself for most of my life, and I've experienced it through watching other people. There is nothing like a grandpa who's a big Yankee fan, who watches the games with his grandson or granddaughter, brings them into GG Cards and Breaks, and says, "Who do you love?" I say, "Grandpa, I love Mariano Rivera. He's my favorite." And then they happen to have a Mariano Rivera autograph, and Grandpa says, "This is for your birthday." And then 20 years from now, Grandpa might be up in heaven, but that card has never left your dresser. Memories are made, friendships are built, connections are strengthened at GG Cards and Breaks. It's so much more than a sports and trading card shop. So walk in the door, experience the difference, and enjoy it today on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Big time thanks to Chick-fil-A in DeWitt on the corner of Bridge Street and Erie Boulevard. You need to go over there today and get your pineapple dragon fruit. You haven't had it, you need to try it. I've had it. Very good. Really appreciate the fact that Chick-fil-A is doing these nostalgia, which is a new spin on some nostalgia that they have, mixing in some things. And so currently, for a limited time at Chick-fil-A in DeWitt, they have the pineapple dragon fruit as a beverage. The other thing that they have at Chick-fil-A that you can get right now is a sandwich that's found its way back on the menu. That is the honey pepper pimento chicken sandwich. And of course, you can get your original, your spicy, your grilled, your breakfast that you love, your nuggets, as well as those shakes. And now they're featuring their frosted beverages. So you can get any one of their sodas or their lemonade and turn it into a frosted drink, which is perfect for a day like today that is hot and humid in central and upstate New York. Megan Sorber and her team look forward to seeing you over at the corner of Bridge Street and Erie Boulevard for Chick-fil-A in DeWitt. The giant brick building that you cannot miss is looking forward to spending time with you today. And I appreciate spending time with you today. Here inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, we're up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT and on WakeUpCallDT.mixlr.com. Thanks for hanging out with us for almost 3 hours instead of 2 hours. Under promise, over deliver. Of course, you can find the shows on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Podchaser.com, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. You can also ask Alexa in your Google devices to play the latest episode of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and they'll do that for you as well. Many thanks to our incredible team of partners. Go and see our wonderful Central and Upstate New York team by going to Great Lakes Honda City, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world, Myers Creek with a location out on the countryside on 33 Rippleton Road in Cazenovia, as well as by the Syracuse Aquarium that's being built. Myers Creek is right there on 720 Van Rensselaer Street in Syracuse, New York. The Baked Potato Express, Pizza Man, Chick-fil-A, Cicero, Skippy's Ice Cream, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Brian's Landing, Gray's Craze at Clay, New York, Game Point Sports Complex, Avicolli's, Chick-fil-A in DeWitt, Willow Rock Brewing Company and the Willow Rock Pizza Pub, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Mother's Cupboard, and of course we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Binghamton University Bearcats. Find the Bearcats every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time during Bearcat Time like today with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni. Join and Wake Up Call for experiences and conversations you won't find like this quite anywhere else. And make sure that you head to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our Binghamton playlist. The Bearcats are also on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to binghamtonbearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, here on the show, I want to thank Jason Lucas as well as Neel Bhattacharjee. I want to thank Avicolli's for the ingredients to success, which speaking today on a cheerful heart. All inside of Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com's What's Poppin', giving you the list of topics and guests for the day. Make sure you go see Ma and Pa's at events all throughout Central and Upstate New York, and they'll of course be at the upcoming New York State Fair. Great Lakes Honda City, our exclusive studio partner when it comes to getting your vehicle of any shape and size, new and used. The only place I'll tell you to go is the place that I've gone for over a decade, which is Great Lakes Honda City, the former Honda City of Liverpool, on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. Setting the table. Get your food from Gray's Craze. Watch those matches. We'll be putting a video out on our social media as we've done every day of the 2026 FIFA World Cup here in North America. I look forward to talking with you soon. By the grace of God, we'll be able to do that. In the meantime, please have a wonderful, long, fun day and night and so on. They go by slowly. And as we always say here on the show, God bless, no stress, do your best. We'll talk soon. Stay safe, everybody.